Okay, I'm going to tell you something you probably don't want to hear. Not that you don't want to hear it, that it's just a little uncomfortable, that it sits with you strangely, and that is that your problems matter. And the weird thing is, you'd say that to a friend anytime, any day of the week, you'd go, yeah, your problems matter. And I know you're going to say, oh, I don't feel uncomfortable hearing that. I want you to really sit with it for a moment. Say it to yourself, my problems matter. Even before all the discussions about white privilege and male privilege and all of the other things kind of entered the sphere of the world of kind of political and social discourse, my parents were reminding me as a child how lucky I was, and I am. They're not wrong, none of this is wrong. But they were reminding me, I'm going under here, how lucky I am to have a roof over my head, to have any level of income coming in, you know, to have parents who love me, to have the support that I had in school to help me navigate my ADHD and autism. And I've carried that pretty strongly, you know, like, yes, I am a very lucky person. And when when I came away from university, and I'm lucky to get to go to university and to live in a country where I get to go to university and have it not kind of completely cripple my financial situation. I'm lucky to live in a country where we have free healthcare for now. And I'm lucky to live in this time of life where, you know, for thousands of years, humans had to worry if they were going to wake up being mauled by a tiger. Not anymore. Not for me. How lucky I am, and how lucky so many of us are, right? So I think just coming into any situation, I'm just going to keep that. I do try and avoid people. I hate people. They hate me. They don't want me with a camera sticking around them, you know? So I think going into any situation in life, I've always kind of carried this sense of I'm really lucky. I'm really lucky. That's the explicit part. So the implicit part is shut up about your problems. Your problems don't matter, and that's just not true. And we know it's not true. And again, we would say it to a friend without hesitation. Your friend comes to you with problems. Yeah, it's valid how you feel. It's the first thing. Validate. Understand, empathize, be caring. But we don't do it for ourselves. We're really bad at doing it for ourselves. And this became apparent in two places, one of which was relevant to a comment I got yesterday on yesterday's vlog about ADHD and suffering with ADHD. And I thought about, and this is what it made me think about, which is why I'm making this video today. The first place it became apparent was in therapy, where you literally are supposed to go to talk about your problems. And I would tell my stories, I would tell my problems, and sometimes I'd be in touch with how that made me feel and how hurt I felt. And sometimes I'd just laugh it off. Oh well, I guess that's just my lot in life, you know, or well, can't all be perfect. And I'd dismiss. And my therapist invited me to take off the mask and to just start talking about, like, dude, do you actually think that's fair though, that you had to deal with that? And the idea of fairness on a global sense is obviously like absolutely ridiculous. Some people have better situations than others. I am so lucky for all of the things that I have. I don't want to negate that. See, even now I'm like prefacing so as to not to sound like an entitled, ungrateful ass. I'm prefacing, I'm aware of how lucky I am. But it's not ungrateful. It's not unreasonable to say, hey, you know what? Actually, I was struggling. Mentally, I was struggling, and maybe this is resonating with you. Maybe you're struggling, right? You have your challenges, we all do. For most of our life, there's a challenge, because we're always moving in a direction, and that direction is usually towards something we want, which means there's often something we don't want or would like less of in our way. I think a whole bit of life, and this is maybe another vlog, is choosing your pain, choosing the shit you want to deal with. But the other place this became so apparent to me was when, after years of knowing I was diagnosed ADHD, but just assuming that the way that I thought about the world was just the way I thought about the world. It's not curable, it's not manageable, it's just how I navigate, you know, the reality I'm in, and that's just my brain, I guess. Why didn't I turn my attention to this field of study that says, well, actually, we tend to find that people whose brains seem to operate in this way can benefit from certain medications. Why didn't I think about that? I went to the doctors because after the therapy and after starting to look after myself, there was still something that just felt like, this isn't how most people seem to be navigating the world that I recognize. And so I went and I said, hey, do I need antidepressants? And he said, I don't think you need, are you depressed? And I went, no, but maybe, am I anxious? I don't know, I'm not really sure what it is. Just overthinking a lot, there's a restlessness of mind. And he said, have you ever been medicated for your ADHD? Ah, that old thing? Yeah, I guess I've got that. No, I've never been medicated for it. It's a long process, but you know, again, how grateful and lucky I am that I even have options to have this process, to go through this. Again, thousands of years ago, people didn't know what ADHD was. Their brains were just different. And they just operated the way they operated. And they got through or they didn't. And I started taking my medication. And for an hour, that first hour, I had no idea, an hour and 10 minutes actually, exactly. I had no idea if it would be working or not. Was it working? Was I feeling something? Oh no, this isn't going to solve all of life's problems. No, it's not going to solve all of life's problems. But then an hour and 10 minutes hit. And I felt this sense of peace. And within the first 5 minutes, I remember thinking, oh my God. Has everyone else been playing it on easy mode? Has everyone else been playing it on easy mode? There's an easy mode. I thought I was playing it on easy mode, but no, this is how normal people's brains operate. I was blown away that I'd been playing with this handicap, this mental kind of, this sort of restraint. And I just thought that was so, I don't know, it was so apparent. It was just so apparent that I had a struggle for the last 30 years. Okay, we'll negate childhood for no particular reason. For my adult life, I have had this handicap and I've not known at all. I've not been aware. Because I never looked at it and said, yeah, well, these are my struggles and they are struggles. I looked at it and said, yeah, but I'm so lucky. Look, you should recognize your luck. Of course, but they don't negate each other. You can be incredibly grateful and have, I'm going to say grace, but that's just grateful. I think you have grace going through life, understanding all of the privilege that you have. If you're watching this, you've got a laptop, you've got a phone, you've got an internet connection. That's fine. You can recognize that, and you can also recognize where you've got struggles and be okay with that. And I think kind of the end of my vlog yesterday, I had a little section where I was just talking about the sort of atrocities going on in the world in a sort of very ephemeral sense. Yeah, okay, Toby, you might say, you've got it difficult, but like, so what in relation to like that stuff? That is a game that not only will you, that is something that not only will you never be able to kind of, you're never going to be able to solve all the world's problems. But in addition to that, you're actually not going to be able to start helping solve the world's problems if you're not dealing with the challenges you face. Especially the mental and physical ones. How are you supposed to help people if you're not taking care of yourself first? We in the Western world, and, again, anyone watching this, yes, we are the recipients of mountains of privilege. We should be aware of it. And maybe I'm just repeating myself now, but if we want to use that privilege for like good in the world, and this is somewhere where I think maybe I can just help, is actually helping to help you, maybe, if I'm so lucky and so bold and so, you know, to say so. I'm rambling now. Help you help other people. And I'll do the bits that I can do where I can do them as effectually as I can do them. But it does sort of, it's the whole charity starts at home kind of thing. That's not selfish. That's okay. And there are people in the world. Of course there are people in the world that think, yeah, you know what? I have every problem and no one has it worse than me. And those are not the people for whom this video is for. I don't think that's most of you. I think most people are decent and struggle with it the other way on. And if you are someone who thinks that like, no, I really do have it the worst, maybe you do. It's not for me to say, right? It's for you to say. But I guess I just ask you to reflect on your privilege and then work out how to start tackling and dealing with the issues that you have. And some people's issues, you know, literally might be out of their control. But for the vast majority, and for those people, I'm sorry, that's awful. But for the vast majority of us, I think watching this video, there is something you can do. You have some power. And often, that starts with just sort of admitting your problems and then starting to confront them. Have a lovely day, everyone.